India assumpted the presidency of G20 for the year 2023. Group of 20 is a forum comprising 19 countries and the European Union. Agriculture is one of the 16 sectors that is part of the summit's theme Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning one earth, one family, one future. India is organizing multiple events nationwide as a lead-up to the G20 summit in September this year. Aghub is an agri-innovation hub under Agriculture University, Hyderabad, formerly known as Professor Jayashankar Telangana State Agricultural University. On 29th March 2023, Aghub, PJT-SAU, Hyderabad hosted a one-day workshop titled Building Innovation-Led Entrepreneurial Pathways for Accelerating SDG Reach. Aghub collaborated with Global Development Center, Research and Information Systems, RIS, New Delhi and IKP Knowledge Park, Hyderabad for the event. The highlight of the event was a full-day workshop around current developments in food and nutritional security and climate resistance. Aghub organized multiple sessions that include talks and panel discussion by prominent thought leaders and industry expertise, who shared their insights into innovative ecosystem emerging in the state. Government officials, policymakers, thematic experts, researchers, and innovators participated in curated discussions around SDG goals. The sub-themes at the workshop were food and nutritional security, climate resilience, and sustainability. The day-long event had 4 sessions on thematic areas. Dr. G.R. Chintala, former chairman nabard, inaugurated the event. While addressing the gathering, he highlighted the need for rejuvenated agriculture.
Agri scenario, and it's time for us to relook into what exactly is happening in the ecosystem and how the ecosystem can be nurtured. Who are the players actually playing a very catalytic role in the whole of this thing, and what are the issues really that are plaguing.
This workshop forms part of the series of activities the Task Force 6 under the Think 20 for the G20 is undertaking all over the country, and this is one event slated for this part of the country and particularly for the state of Telangana. The workshop, just to give you a brief, is very specific to understand the emerging innovations which are coming as novel models, as you could have seen in the exhibition, which was, figuratively and comprehensively informed to all about some of the models which are emerging on their own and coming on.
The shareholders present here today would bring meaning to this event by sharing their rich experience and knowledge about different types of agricultural innovations with examples, case studies, criteria for success, the enabling environment, and associated factors.
In fact, we have developed this Meghdut in partnership with the Government of India, and in fact this is a mobile app and through which weather forecast is delivered to 450 cities. There is another one, Plantix, on which we work with the Indo-German start setups, and in fact it helps farmers to address the diseases, plant disease issues of somewhere around 500 diseases covering 35 plants, and in fact now this is available in 18 languages.
– 2018 से सेवा से जुड़ी। पहले मुझे नहीं पता था हमारे लद्दाख में बहन लोगों को सेवा क्या काम करते हैं। फिर मैं सेवा से जुड़ के ये सब पता चला कि हमारे गांव में, हमारे लद्दाख में ये खुबानी, बादाम, ये सब वेस्ट होता है, गाय को खिलाता है। फिर इधर आके ट्रेनिंग दिया अहमदाबाद में 45 डेज़। फिर इधर से हम लद्दाख में जाके हमारे बहनों को मैंने ट्रेनिंग दिया। अभी 600-700 बहनों को मैंने ट्रेनिंग दिया। अभी हम लोग, हमारे बहन लोग ये एप्रिकॉट ऑयल, सिबकथुन जूस, जाम, एब्रिकॉट जूस बनाता है।
बिहार भागलपुर से हूँ और मैं 2018 में सेवा में जुड़ी हूँ। उसके बाद 2016 में सेवा से जुड़ी हूँ और 2018 में मेरे कर्णभूमि कंपनी का गठन हुआ है। उसमें हम लोग अपना बिजनेस शुरू किए हैं, जैसे कि सब्जी, गेहूँ, धान, मक्का। इसमें मतलब बीज भी बेचते हैं। उसके बाद जो खरीद होता है उससे धान, गेहूँ, मक्का खरीद कर अपना सेल करते हैं। तो उसमें अगले यानी कि 21 और 22 में हम लोग लगभग 1,32,000 का सेल किए।
और हम हवेली खड़गपुर के बिहार से आए हैं। वहाँ पे हम सेवा से पिछले 7 साल से जुड़े हैं और 2 साल से हम CLM का काम करते हैं, कम्युनिटी लाइव स्टॉक मैनेजर हैं। और उसमें GRC गोट रिसोर्स सेंटर पे हम काम कर रहे हैं। GRC में अभी फ़िलहाल 16,000 बहन जुड़ी हैं, जिसमें कि सब लोगों को हम लोग प्रशिक्षण देने का काम करते हैं कि पहले जो ब्रीड वो लोग रखती थी तो उसमें उसको कितना फ़ायदा था, अब जो रख रही हैं उसमें उसको कितना फ़ायदा हो रहा है।
The program ended with a valedictory session by Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS, Principal Secretary, Department of IT and EC, Government of Telangana State, as the chief guest. In his remarks, he brought out the model of inclusivity and innovation in the state of Telangana and the need for building an enabling ecosystem.
In Telugu, this program is called Sagu Bagu, which in English it means betterment of agriculture or improving agriculture or optimally maximizing the returns in agriculture, etc. So what we have done is that we have, for the common crops in Telangana, we have understood the entire cycle of operations that are performed, and all of you are agriculture related professionals. I'm sure you know what I mean. Right from the time that you prepare your fields till you gather all your inputs, till you do the agriculture operations, you manage pests, drought, etc. Then you harvest the crop, then you store the crop, you do some primary processing, then it is taken to the market. In case there is some drought, etc., some natural calamity, you claim insurance. So what we noticed was that every step in this process of the common crops that we decided to work on, there are opportunities of improvement. There are certain inefficiencies which can be improved.
Aghub through the event provided an excellent platform for various stakeholders to connect and exchange insights and share developments from across the country. India assumed the presidency of G20 for the year 2023. Group of 20 is a forum comprising 19 countries and the European Union. Agriculture is one of the 16 sectors that is part of the summit's theme Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, meaning one earth, one family, one future. India is organizing multiple events nationwide as a lead-up to the G20 summit in September this year. Aghub is an agri-innovation hub under Agriculture University, Hyderabad, Professor Jaya Telangana State Agricultural University. On 29th March 2023, Aghub, BJT SAU, Hyderabad hosted a one-day workshop titled Building Innovation-Led Entrepreneurial Pathways for Accelerating SDG Reach. Aghub collaborated with Global Development Center, Research and Information Systems, RIS, New Delhi and IKP Knowledge Park, Hyderabad for the event. The highlight of the event was a full-day workshop around current developments in food and nutritional security and climate resistance. Aghub organized multiple sessions that include talks and panel discussion by prominent thought leaders and industry expertise, who shared their insights into innovative ecosystem emerging in the state. Government officials, policymakers, thematic experts, researchers, and innovators participated in curated discussions around SDG goals. The sub-themes at the workshop were food and nutritional security, climate resilience, and sustainability. The day-long event had 4 sessions on thematic areas. Dr. G.R. Chintala, former chairman nabard, inaugurated the event. While addressing the gathering, he highlighted the need for rejuvenated agriculture.
Agree scenario, and it's time for us to relook into what exactly is happening in the ecosystem and how the ecosystem can be nurtured. Who are the players actually playing a very catalytic role in the whole of this thing, and what are the issues really that are plaguing.
This workshop forms part of the series of activities the Task Force 6 under the Think 20 for the G20 is undertaking all over the country. And this is one event slated for this part of the country and particularly for the state of Telangana. The workshop, just to give you a brief, is very specific to understand the emerging innovations which are coming as novel models, as you could have seen in the exhibition, which was, figuratively and comprehensively informed to all about some of the models which are emerging on their own and coming on.
The shareholders present here today would bring meaning to this event by sharing their rich experience and knowledge about different types of agricultural innovations with examples, case studies, criteria for success, the enabling environment, and associated factors.
In fact, we have developed this Make Good in partnership with the Government of India, and in fact this is a mobile app and through which weather forecast is delivered to 450 cities. There is another one, Plantix, on which we work with the Indo-German start setups, and in fact it helps farmers to address the diseases, plant disease issues of somewhere around 500 diseases covering 35 plants, and in fact now this is available in 18 languages.
Coming to sustainable development goals, NABARD is not new to this. Maybe yes, these goals have been outlined and how one has to achieve by 2030, whether it is no poverty, hunger, gender equality, so on and so forth. I think in 90% of the sustainable development goals, NABARD has always been a part of it, and it has been spearheading the entire program across the country.
2018 से सेवा से जुड़ी। पहले मुझे नहीं पता था हमारे लद्दाख में बहन लोगों को सेवा क्या काम करते हैं। फिर मैं सेवा से जुड़ के ये सब पता चला कि हमारे गांव में, हमारे लद्दाख में ये खुबानी, बादाम, ये सब वेस्ट होता है, गाय को खिलाता है। फिर इधर आके ट्रेनिंग दिया अहमदाबाद में 45 डेज। फिर इधर से हम लद्दाख में जाके हमारे बहनों को मैंने ट्रेनिंग दिया। अभी 600-700 बहनों को मैंने ट्रेनिंग दिया। अभी हम लोग, हमारे बहन लोग ये एब्रिकॉट ऑयल, సిబాక్థోన్ జ్యూస్, జామ్, అబ్రికోట్ జ్యూస్ बनाता है।
నా పేరు శ్రీజ, నేను గద్వాల్ జిల్లాలోని చింతలకుంట గ్రామానికి చెందుతాను। ఇప్పుడు నేను ప్రస్తుతం ఇంటర్ ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ చదువుతున్నాను। నేను వచ్చేసి శ్రీజ గ్రీన్ గెలాక్సీ ఒక స్టార్టప్ను స్టార్ట్ చేశాను। దాంట్లో భాగంగా నేను ఈ బయో పార్ట్స్ గ్రౌండ్నట్ शेल तोटी तैयार చేశాను।
और हम हवेली खड़गपुर के बिहार से आए हैं। वहाँ पे हम सेवा से पिछले 7 साल से जुड़े हैं और 2 साल से हम CLM का काम करते हैं, कम्युनिटी लाइवस्टॉक मैनेजर हैं, और उसमें GRC गोट रिसोर्स सेंटर पे हम काम कर रहे हैं। GRC में अभी फ़िलहाल 16,000 बहन जुड़ी हैं, जिसमें कि सब लोगों को हम लोग प्रशिक्षण देने का काम करते हैं कि पहले जो ब्रीड वो लोग रखती थी तो उसमें उसको कितना फ़ायदा था, अब जो रख रही हैं उसमें उसको कितना फ़ायदा हो रहा है।
The program ended with a valedictory session by Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS, Principal Secretary, Department of IT and EC, Government of Telangana State, as the chief guest. In his remarks, he brought out the model of inclusivity and innovation in the state of Telangana and the need for building an enabling ecosystem.
In Telugu, this program is called Sagu Bagu, which in English it means betterment of agriculture, or improving agriculture, or optimally maximizing the returns in agriculture, etc. So what we have done is that we have, for the common crops in Telangana, we have understood the entire cycle of operations that are performed. And all of you are agriculture related professionals. I'm sure you know what I mean. Right from the time that you prepare your fields, till you gather all your inputs, till you do the agriculture operations, you manage pests, drought, etc. Then you harvest the crop, then you store the crop, you do some primary processing, then it is taken to the market. In case there is some drought, etc., some natural calamity, you claim insurance. So what we noticed was that every step in this process of the common crops that we decided to work on, there are opportunities of improvement. There are certain inefficiencies which can be improved.
Aghub through the event provided an excellent platform for various stakeholders to connect and exchange insights and share developments from across the country.
He's managed the initial startup years and helped the institute grow through increasing years of visibility. He's ensured financial sustainability, and after obtaining the first ever global AACSB accreditation. He led ISB's global recognition and ranking to the top 20 in the world. Thank you so much for doing that. Very proud that it's in Hyderabad and you've been instrumental in this. And he's also helped in the formation of ISB's second campus at Mohel. Over to you, sir, to take over. Thank you.
I always feel embarrassed by introductions, because the introductions never talk about the hundreds of things that I did wrong and the millions of things on which I failed. So we handpick some of those things. What I will not do is handpick data in this talk. And I'll to I think what I think is the overarching, quick survey of where we are today in terms of the innovation ecosystem. But because Mukta talked about ISB, let me just go back, if you'll allow me, for 1 minute down memory lane. When I came to ISB, in ISB, one of the first things we did was that we shall focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. And there was nothing, those of you who were here in 2003-04, and I think IKP had just about started a few years ago, and it was more there in life sciences. There used to be that big board when you came down the stairs at the airport, which was the first thing I remembered about IKP. But there was very, very little entrepreneurship and innovation here. In the new sector, Hyderabad has always been entrepreneurial about infrastructure, real estate, and pharma, and seeds, and all those things. But in the new sectors, we had very little innovation. And J. Chaudhary, Satish Andhra, and we started the TIE ISB Connect to really fast track entrepreneurship in the state. And now when I see the entrepreneurship sector here, I'm amazed at how much this state has really developed and gone. So in some ways, we all focus on the challenges, the problems, the difficulties, but we rarely step back and see how much has actually been achieved. And I think we should all congratulate ourselves as citizens of the city and state for what we have collectively done. So let me now go back to the innovation ecosystem and quick look at the Indian landscape, and then bring it down to agri landscape. So we are now, and I think Mr. Chintala has mentioned that we are already the third largest after US and China as an innovation ecosystem. we are somewhere already around 1 lakh startups. Last number I saw was 96,000, but given how many of us don't even register, the real number of startups in this ecosystem must be well over 1 lakh of system. So that's why. Now, this is also backed up in India. These are not just startups getting along, right? It's backed up by academic institutions, research institutions primarily focused for doing innovation, government support. So there is a fairly large ecosystem behind this whole thing, right? What is now fascinating is that earlier this was only in the 5, 6, 7 big cities. Now what we see is a rapid movement of this into not just smaller cities, but actually into second tier and even third tier towns. So in Telangana, for example, TSIC works on social innovations, and we now see in cluster of villages some really good innovation happening and entrepreneurship happening. So why has this happened? And I think again, we are very good at complaining about our governments and about our, but a lot of what happened in India has happened thanks to the government. DST, DBT, Niti Aayog, all the, leading heavy industries, agriculture, all ministries have really poured in a lot of money, which has really fast-tracked it. At the same time, academic institutions especially have made the fullest use of this and in turn started their own innovation ecosystems. So at the same way, states also have played a very important. So my own state, Telangana, for example, has been a pioneer in developing novel state startup policies, infrastructure support, human capital. I remember, when the minister KTR Garu came actually to my office on the second day of taking over and says, okay, you people have been talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, let's make it happen. I have to admit it was the first time in my life that I had government pushing me to do faster things than I had ever done. And he talked about, when we planned the whole policy, we said we'll do 3 things. We'll focus on innovation. The USP of Telangana was going to be innovation. Second thing is that innovation must be inclusive. So it must affect all sectors, from farmers to women to school children to rural to everyone. And third, the state will only provide the infrastructure and will rely on the capabilities of the human talent pool that we have to carry it forward. And that has been yet another very powerful reason why this state again has come up to the top tier in innovation. India itself, I think, has come to about 40 from 81 in terms of ranking. So as a country, we have done well, right? Now, agriculture. Coming to agriculture, agriculture obviously plays a vital role, right, in sustainable development. That's at the core of it, food, everything. However, in the agri-tech system, and again, Mr. Chintala covered it beautifully, so I don't want to keep going back into many of the things he said about some of the challenges we have, but certainly low productivity has been a challenge. Our complete abuse of our soil has been a huge, big challenge. There is perennially the inadequate access of the small and marginal farmers to market. So there is the intermediary system, which is a big problem. Consumption patterns have changed, population growth and people's movement has changed, and that itself has. And of course, the big elephant in the room, climate change, right? So it's in that background that we have to now look at what is going to go. So the next, wave of innovation that we have will have to come out with completely alternative approaches and innovations to rethink of what we need to do to contribute to 2030. So now startups have to look at a different set of challenges of developing technology and tools that can enhance productivity in declining resource settings. This is not when there is going to be less water, less power, maybe poorer conditions of soil, variable climate, how do we in those kind of circumstances do it? So that's one. Second thing is, in agriculture especially, startups cannot focus on just their profitability. Startups have to focus on the well-being of small and marginal farmers. So a startup which makes a lot of money but does not do a lot for the small and marginal farmer is not playing a societally important role. And I think agriculture startups will have to look at societal benefits as an equal target in order to financial stability. So fortunately, the agri-tech innovation system has also benefited from the government initiatives. We found on traction some 2,000 agri-tech startups and more than 80 business incubators associated with agriculture and research institutions in this segment, which is very, very impressive. In which we evaluated almost 2 years ago, right? More than 2 years ago. We evaluated a large number of these and we came out with 86 startups which were very promising and which covered the entire spectrum from inputs, actually from crop planning to inputs to production, which is actually all the harvesting, post-harvest, storage, price discovery, processing and value add, distribution, weather forecasting, cash flow based farmer loans and more. So one great thing that we see about agri-tech innovation is that it covers the entire spectrum. There is no, so if you look at the value chain of agriculture, there is nothing where we say, oops, there doesn't seem to be any innovation happening here. So that's the great found part. And again, that has been helped a lot by the industry, a lot by the government, educational institutions like PJTSAU and others. However, there are still some major challenges why we are not able to. And the big challenge in that is data. There is simply no easy and access to standardized digital agriculture data. Now, agriculture data has its own complications, right? If you look at all the weather and other things, that's central data. It happens to be here in Hyderabad, but it's still central government, atomic energy department data. Then the states have their own data. Then the banks and nabard and people like have their own data, right? Now, increasingly, some of the startups are actually doing things like taking their drones and going all over and collecting their own data. And then the data definitions across the states are different. Some data is completely missing. Like in many states, who is the actual tenant, who is tilling the soil is not known. We know who is the owner, and the owner half the times is sitting in the US or somewhere else and just getting the money that the government gives, right? So we have many challenges. There is not even a standardization, and most of you know that anyway, that there is no standard. When I grew up, there was a film called Do Bigha Zameen. And much later I realized that bigha didn't mean the same thing in different states even. So, and most of this data is manual. So unless we can digitize and standardize agri data, we have a problem. So that's first problem, right? Then for those of us, so if I look back and say, if these are the kind of problems, the second big problem is actually accessing the small and marginal farmer, because access to small, even with FPOs, and by the way, FPO movement is yet another thing that all of us must strengthen. Because when we strengthen that, the small and marginal farmers collectively will have a great opportunity to be able to be equal market players in the ecosystem. Right? So if I stand back and say, therefore, what is it that we need to do? I see that for us, and for us who are enablers of this ecosystem, I see three important factors. One is to create an agri-data stack. And we've seen what has happened to the payment stack. UPI and payment stack just completely transformed. See, the center is already talking about a health stack, which is again a wonderful thing. And already there is beginning of discussions on AgriStack. And AgriStack again will have to have people coming in from the center, from the state, from the startup community, from all of us, from educational institutions, so on. So there is an extremely important contributor to innovation ecosystem will be an AgriStack database. And it will obviously have all the issues of protocol, who can have it. But by now, I think India has got that understood. Thanks to UPI and all the things they have done there, we understand how to use these public, data basis and for both societal goods and so on. The second thing we have to do is to ensure that our government policies actually encourage the adoption of innovation. Many of our agriculture policies, and so if you are going to provide anything to farmers, in each circle you need to go and take approval in many states. That's just ridiculous, right? Given the digital world today, if I do something and get an approval in Bihar, can I use that same thing in Telangana? Or if I get in Telangana, can I use it in UP or Gujarat or wherever it is? How much can we do in terms of, by the way, we do it in medicine. There is no state-wise approval of medicine, but we somehow want it in terms of agri inputs. So how can we do, how can we look and simplify agriculture policies to improve? And third, of course, as I said, is to facilitate the outreach of proven agri-techs to small and marginal farmers for their benefits. And I underline the word proven, and I'll come to it. Okay. So, therefore, we at RICH, anyway, our purpose is, principal job is to co-develop these ecosystems with others. So, for example, in agriculture, we work with Aghub here, ICRISAT, IIMR, NIN, and so many other research institutions. In life sciences, we work with IKP, CCMB, IICT, etc. In sustainability, we work with IIT Hyderabad, IICT again, and many others. So, what we have seen is that when we all start working together, miracles happen. Okay? So some of the things that are already happening and which I hope we will take even further and do more. I'll just give you 4 or 5 examples just to give you what happens when you do it. So, startups, and startups make claims. Genuine claims, but they make claim. And especially in agriculture, what we find is if a startup comes from the technology side, half the times it doesn't really understand agriculture, right? So how do we validate those claims? So here again in Aghub, WEF and Aghub together have started the sandbox, the agriculture validation sandbox, where we ensure that under controlled circumstances, we actually validate the claims that the startup is making. Because after all, we don't want, as a country and even as morally responsible citizens, we definitely do not want us to be supporting startups which are not delivering or not doing the right things. So that's one big thing that's happening. The second, as I already mentioned, regulations and policy. So once again, we are, and we will include many of the partners here, working with the state government to create policy sandboxes. So if a new policy needs to be introduced, it will be introduced in that limited area in a district or a part of district. We will see how it works. If it works well, then you expand it to a larger area and then across the state and so on. The third, and again I've mentioned, is co-creating the agri-stack. And again, we are working with a number of national research institutions, national data institutions. So, National Remote Sensing Center here, the Mahalanobis Center for Agri-Crop Forecasting and so on and so forth, and the Agri-Collaboratory, in order to commonly create a digital public good. That means data which can be used by everyone, just like the UPI is doing. The fourth thing, and again, so Ms. Chintala mentioned this, we somehow arrogantly think that we are the keepers of knowledge. Our traditional practices in many cases are brilliantly climate resistant. So together with UNDP, We documented 25 climate resilient practices, and Athira sitting there was the lead person who did it, which we have now documented properly and which are now available for scientists to check. So this is actually from the ground practice which, hey guys, do you know that we do it this way? And that sometimes goes counter to what we thought were rational policies. So there are a lot of things that need to be, we need to have this fertilization of knowledge from the field to the science and from science to the field. And finally, of course, making market connects. So between all of us, we are able to obviously ensure that using government offices, we go to the farmers and FPOs, but we also go to other suppliers of the goods. So there are many opportunities like this which we have, which will be the new pathways, and that's what our talk was, right? How do we create new pathways to creating innovations? So these are just some of the examples of what there could be new pathways, but given that the market will change, climate will change, new ideas will come, new technologies will emerge, there will continuously be a need for finding those new pathways. And the only thing we can do now is to create strong collaborative networks of all of us, so that together, whenever a problem comes, we can. And we saw that happen in COVID to some extent. When COVID happened, an immediate, instantaneous collaboration of industry, governments, etc. started. How can we perpetuate those? How can we ensure that we don't have to wait for a COVID? How can we make sure that much before it comes, we are ready to do it? So that is going to be a real challenge and opportunity for us as a sector. Thank you. Have a great day.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम अंशुया है। मैं अहमदाबाद से आई हूँ और मेरा गांव का नाम नाज है, तालुका दोस्त जिला अहमदाबाद से आई हूँ मैं। और मैं सेवा में 2002 से ज्वाइंट हुई हूँ। 2002 से ज्वाइंट नहीं थी तब मेरी परिस्थिति बहुत गंभीर थी। जैसे कि मैं पशुपालन काम कर रही थी और एक कैद मजदूर बहन थी। जब मैं नई सेवा में जुड़ी थी तब मैं घर से बाहर नहीं निकल सकती थी, बहुत मुश्किल काम था। लेकिन जब मैं सेवा में जुड़ी तब मेरा बहुत सारा शक्ति विकास हुआ। जब मैं सेवा में जुड़ी बाद में मैं बहुत अलग अलग प्रकार की ट्रेनिंग ली है। जैसे कि फ्रूट प्रोसेसिंग की ट्रेनिंग ली, तो फ्रूट प्रोसेसिंग के लिए रूढ़ी की ट्रेनिंग ली। रूढ़ी की ट्रेनिंग के बाद मैं रूढ़ी बहन बन गई और रूढ़ी बहन बनने के बाद मुझे बहुत सारी चीज़ सीखने के लिए मिली कि जो हमारा जो किसान भाई था वो बाज़ार में जाते थे तो वो बचौटिया थे, वो सब चीज़ पूरे कम दाम में ले लेते थे। लेकिन जब सेवा से जुड़ी ट्रेनिंग ली तब हमें पता चला कि हम पूरे बाज़ार से जुड़े, बचौटिया को निकाल के पूरे बाज़ार के जाएंगे तो हम पूरे दाम में हमें पूरे के पूरे दाम मिलेंगे। बाद में हमारा वो सेवा का एक प्रतिनिधि चुना, वो गांव-गांव में जाके किसानों को समझाता है कि क्वालिटी पसंद करता है कि कैसी क्वालिटी, जो अच्छी क्वालिटी हो तो पूरा दाम मिलते हैं। बाद में बहनों को भी ट्रेनिंग देते हैं रूढ़ी की कि कैसे प्रोसेसिंग करना है, कैसे साफ़ सफाई करना है, कैसे पैकेजिंग करना है। तो हमारी जो सेवा में जुड़ी हुई बहन है वो उन लोगों को भी उन्हीं का गुजरान चलाने के लिए आमदनी मिलती है। बाद में मैंने फ्रूट प्रोसेसिंग में बेकरी की ट्रेनिंग ली। मैं अभी बेकरी शेफ़ हूँ, तो बेकरी में भी अलग अलग प्रकार के कुकीज़ बनाती हूँ। पर जब बाहर बेकरी में मैदा की चीज़ मिलती है, जो मैदा हम खाते हैं तो हमारे स्वास्थ्य के लिए बहुत हानिकारक है, तो मैं मैदे से हटाकर मैं गेहूं के आटे में से सब चीज़ बनाती हूँ। जैसे कि अलग अलग प्रकार का कुकीज़ बनाती हूँ, पाव, बन, ब्रेड, पिज़्ज़ा बेज। क्या कि ये नए जनरेशन में सब लोग बाहर के पिज़्ज़ा खाते हैं, तो पिज़्ज़ा बेस भी मैं गेहूं के आटे में से बनाती हूँ। और अलग अलग चॉकलेट्स भी बनाती हूँ, क्रीम रोल भी बनाती हूँ, खारी अलग अलग प्रकार से बनाती हूँ। वो सब मैं गेहूं के आटे में से बेकरी की प्रोडक्ट भी बना। पहला मेरी आमदनी बहुत कम थी। जब मैं घर में काम कर रही थी मेरे को 1000 और 1500 मिलते थे। जब मैं बेकरी सेफ हो गई तो तब मेरी आमदनी 15,000 से 18,000 मेरी हो गई है। इसीलिए सेवा इज़ ग्रेट, सेवा इज़ माई मदर।
We are talking about SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, good health, good environment. Now, your health depends on nutritious food and also environment. And how to get nutritious food while by not affecting environment in a negative way. So that's why we are offering end-to-end bioorganic solutions for chemical-free agriculture. So now farmers don't have to worry about yield loss by migrating from conventional to organic. So they will get an equivalent yield to conventional, if not more. So what we have is this is an IP protected biofertilizer. This can be a complete replacement of urea, DAP, MOP, like all chemical fertilizers. Then we have biostimulants, tonic plus. This takes care of all the micronutrients requirement of the plant system. And then we have fungal control agent, pest control agent, practically end-to-end solution for the farmers to switch to, I should say, bioorganic farming from conventional and get better health, better yield, and of course better return. First of all, it's a wrong concept. The small farmers has got cost issues. In my experience, a small farmer for his 1 acre of land spends more money than a large farmer because he needs to get result. His survival is only for that. So a small farmer actually usually spends more per acre than a big farmer. This is a fact, first of all. Secondly, but the problem is, big farmer has say 10 acres of land. He can still take a chance of doing a trial on 1 acre of land. But a small farmer who has only maybe 1 acre, 2 acre of land, it will be difficult for him to even do the trial. So that is the only issue we have. About the price, even a small farmer in his say conventional field, say for paddy, in South India, if we say Andhra Pradesh, a farmer for 1 acre of paddy is spending between 8 to 12,000, 15,000 even for rabi crop paddy. Ours depends on the soil condition, but it's in between 8 to 12,000 only. So in the first season anyway, we have to match their conventional cost. Our cost cannot be more. But most interestingly is, if our cost in first season is 12,000, second season it will be 10,000, third season it will be only 8,000. So our cost of production will be coming down every year. Whereas the farmers will get equivalent and more yield. Not just that, if he can get, if one can create an ecosystem where he can get a better price realization for his residue-free produce, he will be even making more money than that. So this is how the thing works. It is not about that, in one go, you'll suddenly see a massive result. It is not magic. So in the first season, we will guarantee you uncompromised yield. That means your yield will be not less than conventional. And you see, I'll just explain you. Well, this is the trial data done by the Tata Tea in their plantation. We are not even we had no access to the garden. This is the trial data. 2% more yield over conventional. This is cotton, the most pesticide intensive crop, cotton. This trial was done by Indocount. You see 21.5% more result. These pilots were done with social alpha in UP. In sugarcane, we are consistently giving tallest sugarcane in the village. With paddy, this Kala Namak paddy during the social alpha pilot, this person got 59 tillers. Can you believe 59 tillers? Normal tillers is 20 to 30, 40 maximum. This is paddy in Gorakhpur. And the most important thing, in most of the places, farmers report zero pest problem. This year in UP, there are major issues with sugarcane. Our canes are still standing tall. Just last week, the farmer got harvest of 450 quintal, whereas the neighbors have not even crossing 300, 350 maximum. So we have been able to increase the yield by shifting from conventional to our kind of organic. See, I mean, this company was incubated in 2020 December, but this biofertilizer was patented in 2012. We have been doing the product and protocol development from 2013 to 2020. And another anecdote I should give you, this biofertilizer is a consortium of microbes. And if you know, under the FCO order, they banned mixing of microorganisms to be called as fertilizer. So when this was, we started using product development, protocol development, we used to distribute it as soil modulator, because it cannot be called as a fertilizer, because the moment you mix microbes according to them, it is no longer a fertilizer. So we are already ahead of time. So in our country, sadly enough, if you are 10 years ahead of your time, it's not always a good thing. You got to pay price for it. So we are just struggling and making it acceptable to the people. It will take its own time, but we are also looking for our organic growth. So we are a result-oriented company. Today we are standing here because we started validation with Aghub. See, I mean, I got introduced to Vijay sir through, I was part of SIIC cohort, so that's how I got introduced to him. And then I realized that Aghub is doing validation. So that's why I became a part of Aghub last year. We started doing validation. And lucky enough, we got selected for BIRAC IKP Agri-Grand Challenge this year. So Aghub will be my deployment partner. So we are starting another validation this season now. So, and my association with Aghub has also become important for another reason. We started our distribution operation in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana last year. So I needed to have a base here. I need to understand the ecosystem here. I need to get market connect, all kind of support. Today I'm so happy to see not just Kalpana ma'am, different professors, different scientists came to our stalls, discussed and encouraged us. Actually, the dean came and encouraged us, saying that, okay, you are doing a great thing because you're promoting chemical-free agriculture. So one thing is good about Aghub and this PGTSU is in other incubations I'm part of, they are not agriculture specific. Like SIIC has everything. So I'm a small factor over there. Here is only agriculture. All we see around is other friends were like me, with a lot of passion doing something related to agriculture. So even today in the session, I expressed my wish that, some of our startups can do a combined project together in PGTSU so that it becomes an ideal model. Like TraceX, Madhur Drones. TraceX identifies, use our solution, Madhur Drones implements. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, Seva markets, just imagine. If we can create an ecosystem and a model, even in Aghub with PGTSU's land, next event you have like that, you take the dignitaries to one plot where 4 or 5 startups have collaborated. So this is possible in Aghub because with Kalpana ma'am and Vijay, they are both very dynamic people. They are very open people. And they're very focused on agriculture. They both know the realities, ground realities, academia very well. So I think this is a very, very win-win situation for a startup like us who are more scientifically oriented. So we are getting that kind of a support, and we are looking forward to more meaningful, relationship with Aghub.
How many of you feel that you have to work day in and day out to be successful? పిచ్చోళ్ళ కష్టపడాలి అని ఇంతమంది కనిపిస్తున్నాయి. పర్లేదు చెప్పండి. ఆనెస్ట్గా చెప్పాలంటే ఐ ఫీల్ బ్లెస్డ్ దాట్ నేను ఇప్పటివరకు ఐ డోంట్ ఫీల్ దట్ ఒక్క రోజు కూడా కష్టపడినా అని. ఇట్స్ బీన్ అ వెరీ వెరీ ఫన్ జర్నీ. నాకు తిండి గుర్తుండదు, ఆకలేది. ఐ లవ్ మై వర్క్. అండ్ ఇప్పుడు మన టాపిక్ ఏంది, సస్టైనబిలిటీ. అండ్ సస్టైనబిలిటీ అంటే ఏంది? డూయింగ్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ ఇస్ బెటర్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ and it should be something in the long run. And when you want to be successful, the key to that is to not work every day, to have fun in each and every moment of your day. చేసే ప్రతి పనిలో when you have a lot of fun, that's a sustainable growth that you can have in your life. And I was blessed ki I got to have such a thing. ఎలా అయింది అది? మీలానే కాలేజ్లో ఉండే చూస్తుండే, అండ్ వెన్ కమింగ్ టు కాలేజ్ అండ్ దీస్ థింగ్స్ ఇప్పుడు ఎలా అయిపోయిందంటే అన్నీ ఓవర్ నైట్ అయిపోవాలి. రిలేషన్ 1 night స్టాండ్, ఒకవేళ ఎగ్జామ్ ఉందనుకో 1 night స్టాండ్, ఏదన్నా 1 night. దట్స్ నాట్ సస్టైనబిలిటీ, దట్స్ ది ఎగ్జాక్ట్ ఆపోజిట్ ఆఫ్ సస్టైనబిలిటీ. అండ్ అది ఏమన్నా పోయింది, బీయింగ్ 1 night అండ్ బీయింగ్ కూల్, అది పోయింది. నౌ వాట్స్ కూల్, యు నో, బీయింగ్ సంథింగ్ అ లాంగ్ టర్మ్ థింగ్, డూయింగ్ సంథింగ్ ఫర్ ద లాంగ్ టర్మ్. ఇప్పుడు టెంపరీ ఫన్ వస్తుంది, బట్ లాంగ్ టర్మ్ అందరు కలిసి గ్రో అవ్వాలి అంటే యూ హ్యావ్ టు సపోర్ట్ ఈచ్ అదర్. ఇప్పుడు ఇలా నేను మాట్లాడగలుగుతున్నానంటే బ్యాక్ వెన్ వాజ్ ఇన్ కాలేజ్, అప్పుడు నన్ను ఎవరో పట్టుకొని పర్లేదు మాట్లాడని ఎట్టుంటారు కదా, అది ఎవరు? నా ఫ్రెండే. ఇప్పుడు మీరు వెన్ యూ కమ్ అలాంగ్ విత్ ఈచ్ అదర్, ఐ మీన్ పుష్ ఈచ్ అదర్, అప్పుడే కదా ఆ లెవెల్లో గ్రో అవుతారు మీరు. ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? అయితే ఏం చేయాలి? యూ హ్యావ్ టు గ్రో టుగెదర్ సస్టైనబుల్లీ. And now in 2020s, we are realizing the importance of eating organic. And organic తినడానికి చూస్తున్నాము, బట్ వెజిటబుల్స్ గురించి అంత ఆలోచిస్తున్నాం. ఇక్కడ ఎంతమంది నాన్ వెజ్ తింటారు? ఓ వావ్, పక్కా హైదరాబాద్ అనిపిస్తుంది ఇప్పుడు. ఎంతమంది నాటుకోడి తింటారు? awesome. So back when ఇన్ని ఒక 40-50 yearsగా we understood the importance of organic and we are eating organic. బట్ మన చికెన్ తింటున్నాము, రైట్? చాలా ఇష్టంగా తింటాము, KFC కానీ ఏదైనా ఇలా తింటాము. బట్ ఆర్ వి క్వశ్చనింగ్ అవర్ సెల్ఫ్, ఇస్ దట్ ద రైట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ చికెన్? అది ఆర్గానిక్కా కాదా అని. ఎలా పెరిగింది, ఎందుకు పెరిగింది? నార్మల్ ఒక నాటుకోడి పెరగడానికి 120 days పడుతుంది, రైట్? ఇప్పుడు మనం తినే వైట్ కోడి, ఇట్స్ బీయింగ్ గ్రోన్ ఇన్ జస్ట్ అ స్పాన్ ఆఫ్ 30 days. 120 ఎక్కడ, 30 ఎక్కడ? ద హ్యూజ్ డిఫరెన్స్, రైట్? సో దట్స్ వాట్ వీఆర్ ట్రైంగ్ టు రెవల్యూషనైజ్ ఓవర్ హియర్. మెనీ థింగ్స్ దట్ వీ డూ టుడే ఆర్ నాట్ హెడెడ్ ఇన్ అ సస్టైనబుల్ డైరెక్షన్. ఎప్పుడైతే ఐ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్, ఏదైతే బెనిఫిట్స్ కనిపించాయో, వెన్ ఐ సా ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్, ఐ వాజ్ రియలీ టేకెన్ అ బ్యాక్. అండ్ ఏ వేలో అయితే మనం ఇప్పుడు చికెన్ కన్జ్యూమ్ చేస్తున్నామో అండ్ వాట్స్ హ్యాపెనింగ్, వెన్ ఐ థరోలీ అండర్స్టూడ్ దాట్, ఐ డిసైడెడ్ టు డూ సంథింగ్ అబౌట్ దిస్. అండ్ దట్స్ వెన్ వి స్టార్టెడ్ రెవల్యూషనైజింగ్ ది చికెన్ కన్జంప్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. And here we have taken few initial steps and we are growing further. If we see, ఇవాళ మనం సస్టైనబుల్ గ్రోత్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నాం, అండ్ హియర్ ఇట్స్ సస్టైనబుల్ గ్రోత్ వర్సెస్ ప్రాఫిటబిలిటీ అనేది I've saw it somewhere. But the reality is, sustainable growth and profitability, it's not reverse. Everything, business antene profitability, yes or no? And sustainable growth and profitability, sustainable growth లోనే ఎక్కువ ప్రాఫిటబిలిటీ ఉంది. Sustainability is one thing that's present in our lifestyle. మనం నమ్మి మనం చేసేటిది. It's not just about the business that we do or the idea that we have, but it's a kind of life that we want to live. And when we have that thought process, whatever we touch, whatever we do, it will translate into the same thing. It's my genuine experience. When I met Vijay sir, Aghub CEO, when I met Kalpana Shastri ma'am, the kind of work that they are doing, ఈ వేళ మాకంటే ఘోరంగా కష్టపడుతున్నారు. నేను ఎప్పుడు అసలు అనుకోలే ఒక గవర్నమెంట్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్లో కష్టపడుతూ పనిచేస్తారని, ఎప్పుడు అంటే ఆ పిచ్చితో పనిచేస్తారని ఎప్పుడు చూడలేదు. వెన్ ఐ మెట్ దిస్ పీపుల్, ఇట్ వాస్ టోటల్ ఇన్ దట్ డైరెక్షన్. అండ్ ఐ ఫీల్ దట్ యూ గైస్ ఆర్ రియలీ లక్కీ. ఇఫ్ యూ రియలీ వాంట్ టు హ్యావ్ ఫన్ every day of your life, I strongly suggest you to pursue your entrepreneurial spirit. ఏదైతే మీకు స్టార్ట్ చేయాలందో when you have to do something of your own, you have to channelize your energy in that direction. And ఇక్కడ మీకు channelize చేసుకోవడానికి you have the best of best resources available. After starting my journey, ఒక 1 year తర్వాత I'm at Aghub. But you have that opportunity even before starting. మీరు జస్ట్ ఒక స్టెప్ ఇలా ముందటికి ఇస్తున్నా అంటే దే ఆర్ ప్రెజెంట్ విత్ యూ. దట్స్ ది కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అడ్వాంటేజ్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్, అండ్ దట్ కెన్ టోటలీ చేంజ్ ది అవుట్కమ్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ ఆఫ్ వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ లైక్ టు డూ. The best thing that I got in college was exposure. ఇప్పుడు పీపుల్ మే ఫీల్, ఆర్ ఎస్పెషల్లీ అస్, ఈ ఏజ్ గ్రూప్లో ఉండి వీ కెన్ ఫీల్ దాట్ ఇప్పుడు ఇఫ్ యూ స్టార్ట్ అ బిజినెస్ ఆఫ్ పర్స్యూ యువర్ ఆంటర్ప్రెన్యూర్ జర్నీ, we will be deviating from our studies, or it will affect the kind of job opportunities that we want, or anything like that. But the reality is, ఇప్పుడు మీ దగ్గర ఒక జాబ్ చేసే సత్తా ఉంది. సెకండ్, you have a potential of giving 100 jobs to people. దీంట్లో రెండిట్లో ఏది బెటర్? ఒక పర్సన్ ఒక కంపెనీ మిమ్మల్ని హైర్ చేయాలని చూస్తున్నా, వాట్ విల్ దే సీ? మీ దగ్గర మీరు ఒక్కళ్ళు వెళ్ళి వర్క్ చేస్తే ఇస్ ఇట్ ఫైన్, ఆర్ ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ద పొటెన్షియల్ ఆఫ్ ఇంకొక 100 మందితో పని చేపిస్తూ ఇన్స్పైర్ చేస్తూ వాళ్ళు ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తుంటే, విచ్ పొటెన్షియల్ ఇస్ బెటర్? సెకండ్ వన్, రైట్? అండ్ దట్స్ ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ ద కైండ్ ఆఫ్ ఆపర్చునిటీ దట్ యూర్ గెటింగ్ ఇన్ యువర్ కాలేజ్ డేస్. నేను కాలేజ్లో ఉన్నప్పుడే స్టార్టెడ్ మై ఆంటర్ప్రెన్యూర్ జర్నీ. నేను కాలేజ్లో ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ మాత్రమే పట్టి చదివిన. సెకండ్ ఇయర్ నుంచి కంప్లీట్గా స్టార్టెడ్ ఎక్స్ప్లోరింగ్ ఆల్ ది ఆపర్చునిటీస్. And the business that you're seeing now, my age is 25, and this is my 6th business. This being the 6th business, how it did happen? Because I started early. I got the chances to do mistakes from my college life itself. And adi mottam growth change ayindi. And that's exactly the kind of opportunity you got. And always remember, sustainability over here is not just a choice, but it has become a mandate over here. And it's not just a way of seeing the future, but it's a way of living our entire life. Okay, so I want you all who are present over here to not just listen and gurtupatti marchipovam kaadu. I also want you to inspire others. Share the things that you received from here, share it on social media. కావాలంటే నన్ను ట్యాగ్ చేయండి, కంటే చికెన్ కొని ట్యాగ్ చేయండి, యాగబ్ని ట్యాగ్ చేయండి. దట్స్ ది వే పీపుల్ విల్ నో దట్ you're onto something.
She is the chairman and the CEO of IKP Knowledge Park, and she's developed the first life science research park in India in Hyderabad, and she's pioneering a hardware product incubator and makerspace IKP Eden in Bangalore, and she works with Indian and global partners to nurture and fund over 700 innovation projects and early startups. Such a pleasure to have you here, ma'am. You've been my favorite for a really long time, along with Dr. Kalpana, of course. And she's actually always been an woman achiever for me. And she has also got this recognition in 2017 by Asia One Business magazine, and Woman of the Decade in Life Sciences, well deserved. And after brief stints as an engineering faculty at BITS Pilani, she took over as a freelance science writer for children, but I think it's her passion towards research and looking at innovation and getting innovation to the market space is something that drives her presence and her work throughout. She's just returned from a sojourn in Sikkim. So over to you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And while we have her here today, she's going to be talking about navigating innovation, maize and life sciences, and agri for technology basket. Over to you, Dr. Dipan.
Think 20 platform, and Dr. Tadas is here. I don't see Kalpana, but I'm sure we can discuss this with Kalpana. What would be that communique at the end of our presidency, and what does agriculture, the task force 6 of Think 20 would talk about? Is there anything through this sideline event that can go into building that communique? I thought if we have to talk of agri-food systems, 5 or 6 things come to my mind. One is the dichotomy between the aspiration of producers versus needs of consumers. Consumers need good quality food and agri products at affordable prices. Producers, farmers, they want their products to be profitable. So there is this inherent dichotomy that can startups and innovation solve a problem like this. The second thing that strikes me is demographics. You know, I was reading a paper and I see that in UK, for every farmer of 40 years age, there are 3 farmers that are of age 65, which means, and there are other data, I'm not going to get into those data. I don't have the Indian data though. And that basically says that is agriculture on the whole an aging industry. When I say aging industry, I mean that are young people interested in agriculture or not? Is there a way through innovation we can actually get more younger people into agriculture? In India, of course, we know probably that's still not true. There are a lot of people in agriculture, but is it by choice or because there are no other opportunities available to them? Can we actually create opportunities through new innovations? The third thing that strikes me is that the environmental concerns, huge climate change concerns and so on and so forth, and the economics and profit that drives agriculture and livestock farming and so on and so forth. Where is the balance? Can innovation bring in that balance? Through technology, through new ways of looking into it, can we actually bring about a balance? And I was seeing that in the, actually industrial farm pollution is a large issue and a large problem. When I say industrial farm pollution, I can give you an example, and I'm not only talking of India because this is a G20 sideline event. I'll talk of the member states also. Spain, there's data that the pig manure that comes from all industries actually contributes to 50% of their land and water pollution. That is huge. So how do we deal with industrial farm pollution? I saw a technology that there is this for poultry, there's a raking system that they've made. I don't remember the name of the startup, which basically is churning the soil so that, and it's done every day, so that the excreta gets mixed, and after 45 days, he said, they'll change the soil. So I think we need to think of new technologies that actually can work with small farmers and mid-sized farms. Environmental concerns, of course, everyone has talked about. I'm not going to deal with that. But the other thing that really bothers me, or when I was reading, it's bothering me, because we deal with innovations. And when we deal with innovations, we very well know the position of India in the Global Innovation Index. And Mr. Ragnekar referred to it. We are 40. In 2022, we are ranked 40. A startup Blink index for startup, as a startup index, India is ranked 19th. So it means that we are more entrepreneurial than innovators. In SDG, Indian 2022 rank is 121. Where is the problem? Does it mean that SDG, because we are talking of reach to SDGs, how do we actually, through innovation and this maze of innovation that the topic I've been given, how do we say that, how do we reconcile with the fact that we are 19th in startup ranking and 121 in SDG ranking? Does it mean that startups and innovations have nothing to do with SDGs? It just lies with the government to have, it's completely policy driven? Or is it that the innovation community and the startup community is not talking to the policymakers to make this happen? Is there a way? I think what Mr. Ragnekar spoke about, AgriStack, is a great way to help, because I know how financial inclusion has changed our ranking. And this is not about ranking, this is about well-being. Ranking is just to say where India is positioned vis-a-vis other countries. And if you look at, again, our G20 nations, in SDGs, some of the top 1, 2, 3 are all, I think, Sweden, Finland, and some others. We are 120. I have to ask, of all the nations, have we mapped where the SDGs are? And India, I think the focus, I was reading a Niti Aayog report, our focus, except for the three SDGs, we are there, we are mapping state by state all the SDG goals. Where are we slipping? Where are we not able to cope up? Is there a concerted effort to bring startups and innovations through, because agriculture is a focus area here, so agriculture and sustainability, can we actually see how we can impact SDG through innovations in agri-food systems and sustainability? If we cannot do that, we will completely fail in saying that India is a startup nation. We are third in terms of number of startups. What are these startups doing if you cannot impact life? Because SDG is one of the acknowledged ways of measuring how we are doing as a nation in terms of providing all citizens the benefits of development. If we are unable to link innovation and our startup ecosystem to SDGs, we would fail. So what I've done through this little bit of talk is to raise questions. The idea is not to be talking about IKP or what we do or what we have done. The purpose for me today is to raise questions about what we can do to work with our innovation ecosystem to make agri-food systems, sustainability, and SDGs, these three things that have been the topic of our conversation today. How do we bring in startups into it? I am aware of at least 30 or 40 startups working in these areas. Is that a good number? We spoke of 3,000 startups in the agri-food systems in India. And Dr. Chintala mentioned 50 of them are doing good, the rest of them are 1 to 2 crores of revenue. It's not about revenue, it is about the impact that you are able to make. And my question would be, I would map all those 50 that are really doing well and try to map them to SDGs and see whether there is an impact that is possible. I'm not going to take more time because I know there are startups in this session who would actually tell you about what impact they're doing in terms of agri-food system. And I see Manoj sitting here. So we would hear from them. Absolute is here, Shivam. But it's important to understand that the link between innovators in the agri-food system and SDGs. And if we can do a good mapping before our maybe the September communique or when we hand over the presidency, if there is a way to bring out a report on this, I'm not saying it's about where India stands and what we can do as kind of policy references for all the G20 member states. It varies a lot, but I think we need to talk about innovation and agri-food systems and what are the best practices.
My attention the most, being a part of the startup ecosystem, was looking at measuring the impact of startups to the SDG goals, especially when they have managed to come to a stage of being able to sustain themselves. How are they really impacting? I think that would be a great metric. So for all the ecosystem enablers out here, probably that could be another parameter that we add. Thank you so much, Dr. Dipanvita. Could I share a token of my affection for you?
Let me take this honor to introduce the next speaker on stage, Dr. Arvind Kumar, EDG ICRISAT, who is going to be talking on aligning ourselves to SDGs. The ICRISAT's approach, I request the guest of honor to kindly speak on this. But before this, I also would like to introduce his profile. Dr. Arvind Kumar is an experienced crop scientist with more than 28 years of experience in crop improvement, trait discovery to drought tolerance, disease insect resistance, and translational research. His area of expertise includes climate resilience, nutrition, crop improvement, genomics, trait development, disease management, policy, agribusiness, market linkages, and capacity development of ICRISAT mandated crops. So I would request you to kindly enlighten the audience with your insights. Over to you, sir.
Bringing ICRISAT to this discussion. And I am certainly benefited from the talk that Dr. Chintala just delivered. But now let's move on to ascertain where we are. These are the SDGs goals, 17 SDGs goals on which we monitor how we are doing well with our efforts to ensure that everybody has a food, everybody has good nutrition, our climate change adverse effect is reducing, how we are doing. We said this in 2015, we said that we achieve it by 2030, where we are. And we have only probably 7 more years to left that we should say that we have achieved this, and I don't think that we are there. So that's what I feel, that that genuinely we have to make more efforts than what we have put in over years to achieve these SDGs goals. Now, as an institute, ICRISAT keeps on working towards improving poverty and hunger, reducing poverty and hunger, reducing malnutrition, also reducing environmental degradation, and also we work towards the women empowerment. And in fact, but still, we have a long way to go, and what the statement that I made with the previous slide itself shows that there are still 71 million people who get into the extreme poverty because of the COVID-19, and also a large part of them are in Southern Asia, 32 million, and in fact also in the sub-Saharan Africa. The same is our scenario with the malnutrition. 381 million malnourished people in Asia and 250 million malnourished people in the Africa. Now the effect of climate change, everybody talks, and we know what's happening. We felt it last week. Untimely rains devastated our crops, and those things will keep on happening. And so the climate change, the increase in temperature, the change in the pattern of the precipitation, the frequency of the drought and flood, and in fact, I never realized till I had discussion with the soil people that climate change is also affecting the soil structure, the soil properties. And so I don't know where we are going, and unless we start taking some remedial measures, I think we will have a lot of problem. ICRISAT do work towards the women empowerment, reduce gender inequality, and also empower them. We talk of equity, just not equality, but we talk of equity, provide equal opportunity to everybody, and that's where we work. Very quickly, so where we are now, if we talk of these two goals, SDGs goals, the no poverty and zero hunger, ICRISAT approach is we develop improved varieties, the high-yielding varieties. And many of you know that we work for the dryland, so our crops are the legumes and the millets. And in fact, we promote sustainable intensification, and also we build agri-businesses and integration of the social dimensions. And in fact, there are several examples. Examples are in the legumes, where we have developed somewhere around 239 varieties, improved varieties. We have which covered around 4 million hectares area, and in fact we did work towards developing the new seed, 380,000 tons of certified seed, and 6.1 million tons of grain legumes was produced. Now similar efforts have been made towards the millet also, and since we are celebrating the International Year of Millet in 2023, I do want to say a few things about the millet. Everybody says millets are climate resilient. Millets can be grown in the drought-prone environment. And I always argue then by saying that we are pushing millets to that corner, that you are there suitable for that area where nothing can be grown. And then when we push millet there, and when we say that, okay, we should be producing more millet, then we talk about that millet is not profitable. Now you push some crops in the corner, and when it comes to comparing the profitability, you compare it with rice and wheat, where you provide 4,000 liters of water for each kg of the rice that is produced. You provide nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, and then you compare it with the millet. So my request would be that give millet the place, the exact place, the appropriate place, if we have to have better health. Not for the millet, but for our own health. If we have to diversify our diet, if we have to bring better health for the future. Now, we do work towards the water management, and in fact, we have worked with many of the micro watershed projects, and in fact, in the span of 4 or 5 years, we have, especially in in the Bundelkhand, we have demonstrated that working on the watershed projects, we can enhance the farmers' income. The next one is towards the zero hunger, and in fact, we developed the improved varieties. For the millets, examples are the Dhan Shakti, examples for the pearl millet, examples are the Prabhani Shakti. We have recently developed the high oleic acid varieties for the groundnut. And in fact, we do work very extensively even in Telangana towards the ready-to-eat meals and snacks for the tribal women. And in fact, we have launched joint program with the Department of Tribal Welfare Telangana, and in fact there has been a large number of beneficiaries. And in fact, we do also address the hidden hunger in Africa, and in fact we have worked in that part of the world also with the women. Now very quickly moving to the climate change. We all know what is happening with the climate change, especially with the environmental degradation. I don't know how many of us have realized that our soil's organic matter and organic carbon is drastically decreasing. And if we continue with the same agricultural practices that we have been doing over the last 60 years, for which we all feel proud of, that India achieved the food security, but we should also feel that, at what cost, at what amount of water that we are using, how much we have worked and devastated our soil health, and in fact, in turn, our own health. So it is high time, and we work towards both water. I put an example from the Bundelkhand, but there are several examples also from Ethiopia, where we have improved the water availability to the crop. And I tell you, the Bundelkhand, where we receive only 400 to somewhere around 800 mm of rainfall, this is an excellent example where the number of families who run away from cultivating agriculture have returned back. And in fact, now they are very happily cultivating the land. Overall, we have worked somewhere around improved 72 million hectares area, and in fact that has come into the double cropping, and the reduction in loss has been 30 to 60%. Moving to the next one. No? Okay. I said we do work towards the gender equality, in fact, also, and in fact we have reclaimed lands in the Niger, and in fact this has been done very nicely by the women. In fact, women, they own 200 meters square of the land, and in fact they made income which was equivalent to income that the men farmers make from 1 hectare of the land. We do promote women in the agribusiness, train tribal women in many of the programs, including that in Telangana. And in fact, we also work towards addressing the hidden hunger. Now, moving to our work in digital agriculture, which addresses many of the SDGs. In fact, we have developed this Meghdut in partnership with the Government of India. And in fact, this is a mobile app, and through which weather forecast is delivered to 450 cities. There is another one, Plantix, on which we work with the Indo-German start setups, and in fact, it helps farmers to address the diseases, plant disease issues of somewhere around 500 diseases covering 35 plants, and in fact, now this is available in 18 languages, and more than this has had, as of now, more than 15 million downloads. We do use GIS and remote sensing in addressing the problem of agriculture. In fact, whether this is moving towards the insurance, whether this is moving towards identifying that, which are the areas where the second crop could be achieved. The next one is towards the gender diversity. In fact, the genetic diversity. Many of you know that ICRISAT maintains a huge gene bank. We have somewhere around 129,000 germplasm sessions, and in fact, we have effectively used it. More than 1.5 million samples have been shared with the number of stakeholders, and number of varieties has been developed. In fact, this gene bank is an important source of building resilience against the climate change. So overall, ICRISAT have addressed largely we work towards the SDGs, no poverty, zero hunger, climate action, but also the partnership, but also the gender. And in fact, we have developed many of the varieties in the pigeon pea, which has resulted in 80% rise in farmers' income in Africa. And also, there has been one Malawi seed industry development project, which resulted in 5.7 million annually from seed and grain sales. And in fact, also examples are the watershed project in Karnataka that benefited somewhere around 4.7 million farmers. There is one technology that we introduced in Africa, which is microdosing, that help farmers to get 30% increase in yield. And more than 40 varieties and hybrids of legumes which are released in Africa are under cultivation as of now. With this, once again, thanks to Dr. Kalpana and all those who are with the involved with the organization of this event, and also good to be here at PJTSAU once more. Thank you very much.
May I have this opportunity to introduce the next key speaker, Dr. Jia Chintala, who is going to deliver the keynote address on investing in sustainable tomorrow. So honestly, I have no words to describe you, given your professional endeavors and also your personality. Thanks to all your support to Aghub, you've always been there. But as a formality, I would deliver. Dr. Jia Chintala was the former chairman of NABARD. He has a vast experience of 35 plus years. His initiatives include digitization of world's largest microfinance program under Project E-Shakti, roadmap for amalgamation of regional rural banks, promoting and nurturing FPOs, livelihood enterprise development programs, area development schemes, and alternative energy models. Over to you, sir. I request you to kindly come over and deliver the speech to the audience. Thank you.
There is quite a lot of things that are happening in the entire agri scenario, and it's time for us to relook into what exactly is happening in the ecosystem and how the ecosystem can be nurtured. Who are the players actually playing a very catalytic role in the whole of this thing? And what are the issues really that are plaguing, and how actually the new economy, particularly the startup kind of a thing, is shaping up the Indian agriculture. So with this, I would like to start my speech. The dignitaries on the dais, Sri G.A. Tadas, Fellow and also T20 Engagement Group, Sri Gareth Wine Owen from High Commission of Britain, Dr. Sudhir Kumar, Dr. Arvind Kumar, Madam Kalpana Shastri, and all others who are there in the audience, and my dear alma mater students. I belong to this university. When it was an undivided university, actually I am a student and alumni of this university, and I studied at Bapatla, then subsequently I went to IRA, then from there to NABARD, and in NABARD actually I was there in almost all places, and finally as a chairman I was there. And that time actually, that when we are thinking of doing something for that new agricultural scenario that is going to happen, that's where this incubation center idea, which was already floating in the university, has come. Because before that, actually in 3 or 4 universities, NABARD had given these incubation centers, and Telangana Agriculture University, which is again my alma mater, actually they are requesting me, since you became chairman of NABARD, why can't you give something to your university? So we thought that actually it is best thing is to pay my gratitude to my alma mater. We gave that grant to Aghub, and also subsequently we gave quite a lot of a catalytic capital also to this one, because One is Aghub is nothing but a kind of ecosystem builder, actually, where you have created a kind of an infra, and you have staff, you have the mentors, you have people who are doing this thing. But at the same time, when a particular enterprise graduates to a particular little bit of a marketable kind of an enterprise, actually you require capital. So for that, actually you require either angel investors, venture capitalists, or the debt givers, or anyone. And at the same time, you should need something else, because many a time the bankers still have got a kind of their apprehensions, because banks' money has to be collected back with interest. Actually, that is what the basic banking is. But in case of a developmental financial institution, actually we have a particular scheme where a part of our profit we will put it into this kind of a ventures and see that the ecosystems develop a lot. So that is how this whole of this thing has started. So now we are extremely happy that Aghub is doing wonderful job, and the way the innovations have been being nurtured, actually it is very great that we are catching up with the world. Now here I just want to see, because my topic is investing in a sustainable tomorrow. Actually now the topic is very, very innovative, because unless you invest today, you just can't live in tomorrow, because you can't graduate to the tomorrow. So that's why that investing in a sustainable tomorrow is a very, very important topic. So here I just made, actually that I thought that I may have to deliver a lecture of 1 or 2 hours. So I just prepared, because we generally deliver lectures in such a kind of elaborate things. So first I just thought that, okay, I will try to do a thing as to how this entire ecosystem is getting nurtured. That is, the investments are happening for a sustainable tomorrow. Just take of this SDGs, actually that sustainable development goals. Actually we are there in this development banking for the past 35 years. My entire career spanned there. Actually that there are quite a lot of goals. Earlier it used to be Millennium Development Goals, graduated into the Sustainable Development Goals. Now you just look into this SDGs or anything, they are nothing but the universal truths. Every citizen of the world should have an access to the good drinking water, he should have good food, he should have access to nutrition, access to education, access to employment. There should be a kind of a little bit, no damage to the environment, and underwater kind of a thing. That is the thing in the marine life, everything has to be protected. These are all the universal truths on which actually we are all working. But really how far we are able to do this kind of a thing. Now take the case of human dignities, take the case of the livelihoods, take the case of depredation, take the case of throwing back the people into the poverty because of pandemic or some other kind of a thing. Actually, these are all the things which we may have to think a bit about it. And at the same time, the primary occupation of the world, and particularly in India, where 70% of the people still reside in villages, and almost 50% of the people depending on agriculture, whether we are investing for their sustainable tomorrow. Now this is the thing which probably we all may have to ponder, as I say that quite a lot of damage is happening to the natural capital that is available to us, to the people in the world. Natural capital is nothing but the clean environment, very good agroclimatic situations, and also the soil and water resources, which are the basic things for this entire natural thing. But what exactly is happening with this kind of a natural capital? Over a period of time, actually this natural capital is getting degraded. Fragmentation is, I'm not talking about, because fragmentation is another part of the economy, economic kind of an issue. But thing is, the normal soil which we are cultivating for the past millions of years, particularly in the last 70 years, actually we have done quite a lot of damage by putting so much of an unwanted quantities of fertilizer. I am not saying that fertilizer should not be used, but when it is not required also we try to put it. Likewise, unwanted amount of the pesticides, fungicides, weedicides, they are all creating a kind of a damage to this natural soil asset, that is the soil. And what about the water resources? Now many places we are just tampering with the entire ecology. We are just denuding the forests. Most of the hills are getting crushed for the granite and other kind of a things, and in the process the natural water courses are getting almost dried up, and in the process actually we are not having access to the water for irrigation and all those things. Then what exactly we are doing to do this kind of a thing, to just ameliorate this kind of a situation? Now quite a lot of things are happening all over the world. Everybody is talking very loudly as to what we should do. Now this natural capital has to be restored. If somebody is calling it as a regenerative agriculture, that is a very narrow term, I'll say, but thing is actually rejuvenation of this entire thing. The ecosystem is the thing which we have to talk about. So if that is the case, what exactly the investments that are required for this kind of a regeneration of the things, ecosystem? Now who is going to put this kind of a investments? Now many times it's very easy to talk. Actually everybody tells about actually we should do this, we should do this, we should. But thing is, who is going to bell the cat? Public sector, private sector, governmental, non-governmental, and also as a citizens, actually we all have a role to play in this kind of a thing. Now I just like to see that really what exactly is the ecosystem rebuilding. Take the case of water scarcity. Now if you just look into the statistics, in 1950s or 1960s, before the Green Revolution started, in Punjab the water table was just around 5 feet. Now today it is 1,000 feet depth. Likewise, whether it is in Andhra Pradesh, whether it is Punjab, everywhere actually the situation is same. Because before Green Revolution, none of us were extracting the groundwater the way we are extracting today. The new motors, the submersible pump sets, free power, and everything is really causing enormous kind of a thing. Acceleration to this kind of an exploitation of the natural resource. So the natural capital of the groundwater is getting depleted. Then what about the soil? We are putting very heavy machinery on the soil when it is not required. Most of the animal power has been dispensed with. Actually then we are not adding the organic manure. And at the same time, we have done away with all the kinds of good agricultural practices, and we started doing chemical farming because it's very easy for the farmer to just put 2 bags of urea to make the field green rather than putting 1 ton or 2 tons of a farm-made manure. That's why actually they are also not interested. So now, are we doing enough to restore this kind of a system, to restore the soils, to do the things? So then, what kind of a things which we have to do here? Then the next one is whether is there any kind of a resilience thinking on our part. Now actually that resilient agriculture, resilient ecosystem is a very common thing which we talk about. But thing is, what is the resilience thinking which we are all thinking about? Because today everywhere you just take any document, whether it is in the banking, United Nations, or for that matter any kind of a documents which you take, everybody talks very loudly actually that ESG, ESG, ESG. What exactly ESG and how many are adapting to this kind of ESG? Environmental, social and governance kind of a standards have become a kind of a norm. That's what everybody says that people have to adopt it, though it is voluntary. Now many times people are writing that kind of we are adopting the ESG, but thing is what kind of a compliances which we are having, and really what kind of a cost actually people are incurring on this kind of ESG compliances. And thing is, what the investors are looking at it, because I being a banker for the past 35 years and also headed a $100 billion bank with almost $1 billion of profit. Actually, I know really what exactly the investors look into it whenever I speak about the ESG. Now actually that when I look into that investing for this sustainable tomorrow, most of the investors actually whenever somebody is going for that raising money from abroad, they say that actually what are your ESG norms? Because now nobody wants to have a very short-term kind of a returns. Everybody says that the enterprise which you are creating should be a very, very long-term, and it should deliver goods to the people without damaging the environment on a sustainable basis. So if that is the case, that ESG norms have become almost mandatory, though actually it is voluntary for the time being. So now, are we really looking into the ESG norms very sincerely and also in a very deep kind of a thing? That also which we have to do it. Then the next one is that what exactly, that is who is going to make this entire thing viable because maybe active, that is the system, that is the ecosystem. Because ultimately I say that the money is the one which makes man move. Likewise, the money is the one which makes everything to work. So if that is the case, somebody has to invest in making this entire system very sustainable. So then actually, who is this somebody? And what kind of a systems actually have been created? And what measures the government of India and also state governments are taking? And what systems actually the institutions like NABARD and others have put in place to do this kind of a thing? Now, I just like to look into it. Probably many of you, though you may be students, you may not be looking into that credit part of agriculture. If I just reel out a little bit of a stats, I'll say that in 1950s, India was producing just 50 million tons of food grains and less than 70 million tons of fruits and vegetables, and hardly any kind of a sugar, and oil seeds and everything was a scarcity. Milk was almost abysmal quantity, but in the last 75 years, actually we have done wonders. Today we are producing close to 215 million tons of food grains, close to around 250 million tons of fruits and vegetables, 200 million tons of milk, and 15 million bales of cotton, and oil seeds actually not self-sufficient but still very reasonable. Likewise, meat and other things actually we are producing. But when doing all these things, what exactly is the trigger for this kind of a thing? Food processing with regard to the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, with regard to the Dairy Infrastructure Development Fund, Fisheries Infrastructure. Then as a kind of a safety net, we have a PMFSBY, and we have so many other kinds of things. So everything is being invested by the government and the public sector. And at the same time, there are so many institutions, including institutions like NABARD, who are the agents for the United Nations Fund for the Climate Change. Actually, we have done quite a lot of work in initiating these climate change projects. Today, whether we like or not, climate change is real. Now we have reached a 1.5 degrees centigrade, and by 2040 it is going to be a norm, and the moment it is going to be the norm, actually your entire cropping system is undergoing a change. Now take the case of hailstorm and rains during this period of time, which is unexpected and which is damaging the entire orchard crops, likewise the normal crops. Likewise, actually we are having droughts, we are having very incessant rains when it is not required, and there's a lot of runoff, and all these things are happening. We need to tackle this climate change in a very big way. The other thing that is happening actually when we are looking into the climate change projects and actually financing it, we found that excessive drawing of groundwater, particularly in the coastal areas, because we are having very long coastline in the entire country, actually there is an incursion of seawater into the entire soil, and that again making the soil water is saline. So now these are all the issues which we have to look into it. So when I am looking into these things, actually that what kind of investments actually we require to do in this kind of a thing, because for investing for a sustainable tomorrow, actually that we have to invest quite a lot. Some of the areas which I will say that where the investments have to flow, first thing is with regard to the soil and water conservation, whether it is the watersheds, whether it is creating a kind of a sustainable infrastructure. And the next one is the clean energy. Actually, without going into that kind of a fossil fuel energy, we should go into the solar, wind and other things. And there also investments are happening. And beyond that, actually what more which we can do is increasing the water use efficiency, increasing the crop productivity, creating the new seeds, new genetic kind of a systems. All those things are also required. So there also the investments have to happen. Now, this is one part. Actually now these are the things happening and some other things. But thing is, what is the latest buzz on the whole of this thing? It's the startups. Earlier, maybe some 7 or 8 years back, actually startups was a very new word. Actually nobody was aware what exactly meant by startups. But today in the country as a whole, we are having 80,000 startups. We are world's number 3 after United States, China, then India is the world's number 3. With regard to agriculture startups, we have around 3,000 startups in the country. And when I go into, because every time, many times actually many people ask me to be their mentor and also to be on their board. But now actually I look into various startups, actually really how they're doing. Actually I found that out of these 3,000, at least some 100 are very, very promising, and they attained a scale, and also they are doing quite well. Actually that there are, if you really look into it, actually how the startups, actually entire thing has been arranged. Some of them are into agronomical issues because they are going to the crop production, giving the precision farming tools, then the advisory, equipment, everything is one part. Then the next one is with regard to improving the biological kind of a thing, that is the genetics, recombinant DNA techniques, and also creating the new kind of a varieties, and also the microbial structures, doing so many things with regard to this thing. Then the third one with regard to the mechanization, because now that mechanization is the one which is really gaining quite a lot of an importance because of reduced manpower to do this kind of a work, and also the intricacies involved with regard to the wages and everything. So that's why many people are opting for the mechanization. Now actually I could see one of the machines here, which is an electric robo, and there are many such kind of a versions are there, Farm Sathi, Electric Bull, X machines or such kind of a things. Now these are the things where farmers are going to rely upon in future. Now if that is the case, are we really doing anything to support them and also integrate them into the kind of an agricultural systems which we are trying to look into it? So now, likewise, in animal husbandry, actually that many of the people with the agricultural university, actually we never look into the animal husbandry as one of the major things. But otherwise, if you take the entire agriculture as a kind of a segment where allied activities also have got a big role, animal husbandry and fisheries are contributing substantial amount to the GDP, the agricultural GDP. So now I finished, but anyhow, I'll just take few more minutes to do this one. So now, when these animal husbandry things are happening, how actually 2 or 3 path-breaking things have happened. Some people have created animal malls, because generally animals are purchased just like that, but now actually there are so many startups that have come, where they say that they first take the animals, then they examine them, they grade them, they put the price for them, and they are trying to deliver it to the farmers who are going to buy it. So in that way there is a guarantee. And there are some people in the animal husbandry which are doing the quality control of everything actually which they are doing. And some of them are doing into the genetics part of it. And likewise, so many things are happening with regard to these new startups that are there in this one. So now, when so many things are happening, what exactly is the maybe the scale actually they attained? Actually, if you look into this one, out of these 3,000 startups, 2,950 startups, at least I can say, might be in the range of around 1 to 2 crores, not beyond that. But the remaining 50 have reached a level of around 500 crores to 1,000 crores, and some of them are going to be unicorns also in the agriculture. So now, that is one thing which we have to look into it, actually which kind of ideas which we have, and what kind of a, maybe the funding which we are going to get out of this and all those things. So now, the latest is that the startup culture is right now, startup winter is happening, that is venture capital wintering is happening. Many of the startups are not getting the money from the same venture capitalists. So now the government of India and the normal banking system is trying to pitch in for such kind of a thing. And the SVB Bank of United States collapse had really created a dent in the startup funding. And today actually, if you have read the pink papers, they say that now that Indian Banking Association has started a new startup kind of a funding platform within the banking system through the Gift City. So now this is the one. So finally, I'll say that ecosystem has to be built, agriculture has to be rejuvenated, and the new innovations have to happen to keep the things very this thing. And also, in case if we have to be in the future, because you cannot be hungry in future, you cannot have clothes in the future, you cannot have a kind of a bad kind of a weather in the future. So for all that, we need to invest today, and maybe some of the investments like this Aghub is a very small thing. Likewise, actually, so many investments have to happen. So I'll say that future is very bright, but the policy makers and thinkers and also the students have to come up with their ideas as to really how we will do it. So finally, before winding up, I will say that investing for sustainable tomorrow, people should invest in their health also. Without going through yoga, without going through a kind of a regular regimen of exercise, you cannot enjoy the fruits of tomorrow. So I will say that invest in health today for a sustainable tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
I would also like to request Dr. Sudhir Kumar Garu, Registrar and Director of Aghub, to kindly come on stage and give his insights.
It's my pleasure to be here for this inaugural session on the workshop Building Innovation-Led Entrepreneurial Pathways for Accelerating the Sustainable Developmental Goals. As you all know, this is the year that India takes G20 as presidency, where there are several engagement groups like B20, T20, C20, etc. In tune with this broad thinking, we at PGTSU saw an opportunity for conducting this one-day workshop. So thanks to TADAS as well as Kalpana Shastri for making this workshop. So thank you, sir. And here we are in this inaugural session. Professor Jaishankar Telangana Agriculture University was established in 2014. It is the youngest agriculture university in the country, and it aims to become a center of excellence and one-stop destination for agriculture entrepreneurship, encompassing education, research, and extension with all its faculties, farmers, and rural communities towards greener prosperity and to create, foster, and present to the world entrepreneurs who will strive to work for ecological and nutritional balanced future for the state, country, and the world at large. The university has established Aghub, a Section 8 committee in hub and spokes model, where the hub is at Hyderabad and the spokes are at rural innovation centers. And the main aim is to encourage agri-food startups and aspiring student entrepreneurs. The rural innovation spokes promote rural entrepreneurship among the farmers, rural youth, rural women, and FPOs in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities of Telangana. So we are very much thankful to Dr. Chintala Garu for your financial support for this establishing the Aghub at the university. So till date, Aghub has nurtured more than 45 plus food and agri startups, more than 1,500 vision thinkers, 500 plus ideas, more than 10 rural enterprises, 20 grantees, more than 2 seed-funded startups, and impacting the lives of more than 5,000 farmers in the state. This workshop provides platform to propose process, pathways, and interventions needed to unlock the potential of innovation in agriculture and scaling up with inclusiveness. The shareholders present here today would bring meaning to this event by sharing their rich experience and knowledge about different types of agricultural innovations with examples, case studies, criteria for success, the enabling environment, and associated factors. These solutions would resolve the common challenges of all the G20 countries, such as food insecurity, gaps in global value chain, crop productivity due to climate change, and employment generation. This workshop, engaging with all the stakeholders, policymakers, academia, innovators, incubator fraternity in this region, and farmer is the ideal platform for understanding the needs, blocks, challenges, and a balanced economic growth and sustainable development. What we needed is the major 4 efforts, that is sustainable environment, sustainable production, sustainable nutrition, and sustainable livelihood. The government, private sector, and all the stakeholders need to collaborate and maintain harmony with nature, address inequality, create resilient, sustainable global value chains. The collaborating of this ecosystem players is perhaps the first step in this direction. Research Innovation System for Developing Countries and its Global Development Center and IKP Knowledge Park is a clear sign of putting it into right practice. Sir, we warmly acknowledge the presence of Gareth Owens for his interest and sparing his time to be with us today. We would be happy to explore more linkages in future, especially with research and academic programs of this university. Having Dr. Chintala as a keynote speaker in today's session sets the tone for the theme of this workshop. Sir, truly your support, guidance, especially in the area of innovation-led pathways and building agri-entrepreneurs in this part of the country has been path-breaking, and university truly acknowledges your inspiring and leadership role. We are also thankful to Dr. Arvind Kumar, our friend and supporter of PJTSAU. Sir, your presence is indicative how both global, national, and local programs work together in agri-food sectors. The approach of ICRISAT in imbibing the Sustainable Developmental Goals into its program is worth emulating and a useful model. We all look forward to hear you from this about your experiences. So with these few words, I once again take this opportunity to welcome you all to all this green campus and look forward for fruitful deliberations in this one-day workshop. So thank you one and all.
Let me now take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Gareth Owen, Deputy High Commissioner, British High Commission. His role includes promoting business and trade talks, strengthening scientific and education cooperation, and working with partners and tackle climate change and ensure a transition to clean and sustainable growth. So we look forward to have your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be here today, and I'm really pleased that we, the UK government, can support such an important day's discussion. Thank you all. Thank you to all our partners. There are many of you. We really appreciate your support bringing together this day of discussion, and we're really pleased to be working with you all on some of these key development and SDG priorities, especially in the area of agriculture. I think we'll all agree delivering on the SDGs are the most important to-do list that is facing mankind at this moment in time. And it's really important that we all work together on a number of key issues. Key issues such as sustainable agricultural production, global food supply, to ensure everyone around the world, everyone, all of us, have access to nutritious meals. We also need to look at the underlying drivers of food insecurity. How do we tackle such an important issue? And I certainly believe we also need to look at issues such as how do we utilize research, innovation, and new ways of working to ensure food reaches the most vulnerable across our globe. I think we can all agree there's enough food out there. How do we ensure everyone enjoys what most of us in this room do? And I certainly believe what's important is collaboration. Governments, businesses, civil society, universities. So it's great that today, across the discussions and in this room right now, we have agricultural professionals, we have innovators, we have people representing businesses, investments, students, and policymakers, to name a few. And I believe that is vital if we really want to accelerate how we are going to tackle the SDGs going forward. Because it's important we do not lose focus on the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. Together, we all must tackle and deliver on the SDGs. It is vital for us all, whether you live in the richest country in the world or the poorest. Because for the SDGs, it's important because our planet needs us to deliver on the SDGs. The population of the world needs us to deliver on the SDGs. And I certainly hope from the discussions today will come out an actionable framework which will help accelerate delivery towards the SDGs and sustainable agriculture and tackling global food insecurity. Because I think you'll all agree, and that's probably why we're all here today, that the most important thing for the SDGs is that no one is left behind. And I certainly believe, and I certainly know, that we have it in us to achieve that, but we all must work together to do that. So thank you very much for organising this day. I believe, and from what I've seen already in the discussions I've had, it will be very successful, and I look forward to seeing the results. So thank you again for all our partners. It will be a wonderful, wonderful discussion. Thank you.
I work in an NGO called Seva Bharat. It's a larger umbrella that is supporting entrepreneurs and micro entrepreneurs that are basically and then Gujarat. My role, I work as a business associate. I help micro entrepreneurs to plan their business, make a business plan. And I am closely associated with the farmer producer company in Bihar. So currently we have all farm doing is, so now agriculture cannot be done single-handedly, like only based on harvesting. We need to incorporate animal husbandry into it. So we are promoting integrated farming. What the Behan, like this is Urmila Behan. She is a board of director of Karn Bhumi Farmer Producer Company. So what her farmer producer company does is they provide better quality crops to the farmers, like the seeds also. And then they do cultivation in groups, like the same variety of seed is cultivated by a group of people so that they can sell the harvest together. So that's what they are doing. So we have all, like her company has already done the paddy sale last year of up to 70 metric ton, like all women organization. And they have earned the revenue of up to 8 lakh from that sale. Also, they are working in perishable products like sponge guard and have done a sale of up to 2 lakh in sponge guard. So that is her work mainly. This one is Sadhana. She is working in a goat rearing center. So what they are doing is they are promoting farmers to have goats, to adopt goats and then rear them, do the farming of goats. So firstly, they made a group of farmers and then taught them what are the benefits of having a goat. Then they are also research based. They are supported by the research organization, which help them provide the medicines also. So Bakri ke doctor, they are making goat doctors. They have a group of women who are treating goats by going to the homes of the farmer. They are providing vaccines, injection and everything that reduce the mortality rate. They have they have shareholders, members of up to 16,000 in Bihar. So that many women, so you can imagine the scale they are working on. Yes, so they have made this new product. This is called the goat milk soap, Gotique, they have named it. And we have already, this has just started 6 months before, and we have already sold 5,000 soaps. And we are out of stock currently, people are asking for it. Yeah. We can move further to the Behan. She is from Ladakh. So she is an apricot farmer herself, and she's making different products from apricot, like apricot oil, juice, and different sorts of products. So this is she's bringing farm products to table directly. There is no middleman involved in the process. So she is getting the margin, or the farmer who's producing it is getting the margin out of the product. So that is something that Seva is promoting. eliminating the middleman, and the producer is getting the right price for the harvest. And then this Ben is from Rudy from Gujarat. So Rudy is a well-known enterprise of Gujarat. They are making like everything you can find in a kitchen. Anything you will say, they are making it, they are packaging it, and they are selling it. So their business is a little developed than the others. They are also available on the online platforms, and they are a profitable enterprise. They are making a sale of like in crores. So I mean, there are many like numbers is like difficult. So we make members and we support all our members in like whatever capacity we can. We also work on their social status, their economic status. So the logo, the motto of Seva is Swabhilamban and Poorna Rozgar. Getting employment for women for 365 days. So that's what we are aiming at. And to increase her social status, to increase her status in a family. She can also make decisions in her family. So those types of, formalizing the informal economy, that's what we are working on.
The discussions are indeed very crucial for the TF6 as they form important pointers as we are engaged in developing a policy document for the T20 and G20. Particularly, we could voice the models emerging in this geography. The chair of TF6 to come and brief on what is the task force.
In this August gathering, discuss on the sustainable solutions in agriculture. And I'm indeed thankful to collaborate with the Global Development Center RIS, of which I am also a part RIS, and the Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State University Agriculture, then FCDO UK government, Aghub. We should have a sustainable agriculture, and then I could see that we are indeed progressing towards that path. I did not know much about what sustainable solutions are available. We keep talking, in academic and research that we should be doing this or that, but today I could see that it is happening on the ground. That is indeed a very heartening development. As you know that G20 Task Force 6 is one of the very critical task forces dealing with the pathways to the Agenda 2030, where we are discussing the progress in the Sustainable Development Goals. Under that, there are very important sub-themes which are defined, and one of the sub-themes is on the sustainable agriculture, climate smart agriculture. There are important, other sub-themes relating to gender equities, women-led development, health, one health approach to all mankind, and then we have blue economy, water conservation, and then we have the gender biodiversity, gender equity, and then ultimately we need to discuss on these themes so that we arrive at some suggestions, recommendations which we can forward to the G20 deliberations, so that the views and the suggestions that are put forth in these various important events are deliberated in the G20 summit as well. And hopefully that we'll be able to make some recommendations in the final declaration that may come at the end of the India G20 presidency in November. I don't think, because we are already running late, I understand, I will not take much of your time. We have a full day long to go through various important topics, and I am sure that we will be able to come out with important suggestions and policy recommendations. We have galaxy of experts who will be addressing all of us. and we look forward to a very fruitful discussions day long. And thank you once again, all of you. And I thank again the collaborators for this very important event. Thank you.
మేము రైతులకు సంబంధించినటువంటి ఒక ఇన్నోవేషన్ తయారు చేశాము. ప్రస్తుతం రైతులు వాడుతున్నటువంటి మాన్యువల్ స్టార్టర్ వలన వాళ్ళకి తరచూ విద్యుత్ ప్రమాదాలు జరిగి మరణిస్తున్నారు. అలాగే వర్షాకాలం సీజన్లో అక్కడికి ఫీల్డ్ అంటే పొలం దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు కొంచెం బురద సమయాలలో పదును ఉండటం వల్ల, తేమ ఏర్పడటం వల్ల ఎన్నో విద్యుత్ ప్రమాదాలు జరుగుతున్నాయి. అలాగే వాళ్ళు ప్రతిసారి మోటార్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి ఆన్ ఆఫ్ చేసే క్రమంలో ఎంతో శ్రమకు గురవుతున్నారు. ఇవన్నీ నేను గుర్తించి ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఎంతో కొంత తగ్గించాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో నేను ఒక చిన్న రిమోట్ కంట్రోలర్ ద్వారా ఒక డివైస్ని తయారు చేశాను. ఇది ఆల్రెడీ రైతులు వాడుతున్నటువంటి మాన్యువల్ స్టార్టర్కి ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకుంటే సరిపోతుంది. దీని నుంచి మనము 1 కిలోమీటర్ దూరం నుంచి ఆపరేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. దీనివల్ల రైతులకి ఎలక్ట్రిక్ ప్రమాదాలు జరిగే అవకాశాలు ఉండవు. అలాగే వాళ్ళకి ఎంతో శ్రమ కూడా తగ్గించే అవకాశం ఉంది. దీని ద్వారా చాలామంది రైతులు కూడా ఇది గతంలో మేము చేసిన ఇన్నోవేషన్ వాళ్ళు వాడుతున్నారు. ఎంతో హ్యాపీగా వాళ్ళు సంతోషంగా ఫీల్ అవుతున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు ప్రజెంట్ ఈ ప్రోడక్ట్ని మేము అందరి రైతులకు ఇవ్వడం కోసం నేను గవర్నమెంట్ సహకారం కనుక ఉంటే అందరి రైతులకు ఇవ్వడానికి నేను సిద్ధంగా ఉన్నాను.
We are doing ready to eat and ready to cook millet chapatis using a very unique fermentation technology. With this technology, we've been able to make millets much softer and more palatable compared to the regular millets. And we've also been able to increase the shelf life to 3 times without the need to use any preservatives. So we have jowar, bajra, ragi, chapatis, the parathas, as well as the fulkas. And we also have a very unique product that is a jowar methi paratha. The cost of each product is the fulkas are for a pack of 10 is for rupees 120 and the paratha pack of 10 is rupees 150. And these have a shelf life of 25 days in the refrigerator. Currently, it is available. We take orders over the phone and Google Forms, and we will supply it directly to your house. We are incubated in Aghub. We had come up with a product that was developed in the kitchen. When we came to Aghub, we were introduced to the food scientists here in the Agricultural University, and with the help of the food scientists, we standardized and validated the product. Also did the testing for shelf life, testing for other, the nutritional parameters. Aghub has helped us get a space inside the Agricultural University to start the pilot production, and that is where we are currently producing our chapatis. We also got a bootstrap grant from Aghub to do the initial, to start with the initial production and initial costing of the business. This is a biotechnology. So currently we are done with production. We just need to do a bit of package development and other things, and we are ready to go to the market.
అంటే మనకి 3-వీలర్ మల్టీ థ్రెషర్ మిషన్ ఉంది మనది. ఆ మిషన్లో ప్రతి ఒక్క క్రాప్స్ ఆందేల్, మొక్కజొన్న, కందులు, జొన్నలు, గోధుమలు, శనగలు, ఆల్ క్రాప్స్ మనం థ్రెషర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అంటే పాత బళ్ళకి ఆయిల్ ఇంజన్తోన మన ట్రాక్టర్తో నడిపిస్తారు. దానివల్ల ఏమవుతుందంటే ట్రాక్టర్తో నడిపించే దాంట్లోకి 4 లీటర్ డీజిల్ ఇది అవుతుంది. ఇది మన ఆటోతోన 1 లీటర్ డీజిల్లో గంట సేపు వర్క్ అవుతుంది. ఇది గంటకి 9 క్వింటాల్ గంటకి 9 క్వింటాల్ ట్రాక్టర్ తీస్తుంది. ఆటో ఇంజన్తో మనం ప్రెషర్ మిషన్ ఏమో మనది మల్టీ థ్రెషర్ మిషన్ 14 క్వింటాల్ తీస్తుంది. అంటే ప్రతి ఒక్క క్రాప్స్ అనేది దీంట్లో జల్లెళ్ళు రూటర్ చేంజ్ చేస్తే ప్రతి ఒక్క క్రాప్స్ మనం తీయొచ్చు. అంటే వీడి ఎక్కడన్నా తీసుకోపోవచ్చు, ఎక్కడన్నా తీసుకురావచ్చు. మనకి మామూలుగా ఇంతకుముందు అది పాతకాలంలో బండికి తీసుకెళ్ళి గుంజుకుపోవాలి, ఎద్దుల బండితో ఆయిల్ ఇంజన్తో పని చేసుకోవాలి, కొన్ని ఫెయిల్ అవుతుండే, కొన్ని క్రాప్స్ డ్యామేజ్ అవుతుండే, పల్పు రావాలి. అలాంటివి లేకుండా మన థ్రెషర్ మిషన్లో నీట్గా ఏ క్రాప్స్ అని శుభ్రంగా తీయొచ్చు అన్నట్ల. తక్కువ ఖర్చులో ఎక్కువ గిట్టుబాటుగా వస్తుంది మనకి. చిన్న రైతు కానీ పెద్ద రైతు కానీ దీనికి అందరూ వాడుకోవచ్చు ఈ వర్క్కి. దీని మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ కూడా అవుతుంది. ఇంకోటి వాటర్ పంపు కూడా ఉంది మనది. అది 500 ఫీట్ నుంచి గ్రౌండ్ వాటర్ తీయొచ్చు. అంటే కొన్ని చోట్ల మనకి కరెంట్ ఉండదు. అక్కడ లేనప్పుడు కరెంట్ లేకుంటే ఏం చేయొచ్చు అంటే మనం బోర్ వేసుకొని ఈ ఇంజన్ పెట్టుకొని మనం వాటర్ తీయొచ్చు. వేరే పవర్ అవసరం పడదు మన అట్లా కరెంటు. ఈ 1 లీటర్ డీజిల్లో 3 గంటలు నడుస్తుంది మనకి. 4 ఇంచుల పైపు వాటర్ తీసేది. కిలోమీటర్ వరకు మనం దానికి పైప్ కనెక్షన్ పెట్టి తీయొచ్చు, వాడుకోవచ్చు, సప్లై చేసుకోవచ్చు. లూజ్ వాటర్ కానీ గ్రౌండ్ వాటర్ కానీ 2 వాడుకోవచ్చు. ఇంకోటి మల్టీ థ్రెషర్ మిషన్లో ఏముందంటే డీజిల్ అనేది చాలా సేఫ్టీ. ఇప్పుడు ట్రాక్టర్తో మనకి ఏమవుతుందంటే ఒక 8 లక్షలు 10 లక్షలు ట్రాక్టర్ కావాలి, మళ్ళీ మిషన్కి 1 లక్ష 2 లక్షలు కావాలి, 12-14 లక్షలు కావాలి. ఆటోతో ఎట్లా ఉందంటే 1 లక్ష రూపాయల మనకు మిషన్ వస్తుంది. ఆటో ఒక 3,50,000, ఒక 4,50,000 మనకి ఈ యూనిట్ తయారీ బయటికి వెళ్తాయి షోరూమ్ది. ఇక మనకు మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్లో మనం సబ్సిడీ మన వస్తే గవర్నమెంట్ సపోర్ట్ చేస్తే అది కూడా మనకు ఇంకా తగ్గించవచ్చు రైతుల కోసము. దాన్ని బట్టి మనము ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాము. మనకు గవర్నమెంట్ సహకారం చేస్తే కంపల్సరీ అది కూడా కంపల్సరీ చేసుకోవచ్చు.
It's a greenfield enterprise. We're making FMCG products out of agri-produce. That's the DNA of Mosh and Daughters. And presently we are here at Aghub, and here we are displaying skincare products which are made solely out of agri-produce, with zero chemicals, zero preservatives, no fragrances, and they're so safe that you can actually eat them and there won't be any harm to the body. It's that safe. The skin is the largest organ of the body, and it's one of the sense organs. Just like our eyes, ears, this is also a sense organ. If I give you something which is filled with chemicals and I ask you to put it in your eyes or on your ears, will you do it? No. Why? Because he'll say that it has chemicals and it's not safe for my eyes or my ears. It's a sense organ. The same way, your skin is also a sense organ. You need to give it the natural nourishment. And if you want to add any chemicals for professional, maybe for professional use, like people use makeup and all, so use it on top of the natural skincare products so that your skin remains protected and nourished. And it will say thank you, because we don't realize the chemicals that damage the skin, they're also there in the environment. So whenever we are exposed to those chemicals, the skin goes on absorbing all those chemicals in our body, and that affects our internal organs too, which we don't realize while we are using the chemicals over the chemicals that is there in the environment. Okay. So I got connected to Aghub through my friend Nalini, who is, of course, the founder of Levine Bakers. And it was, when I came to Aghub, I was a bit lost. I didn't know where to start from. But then we have an excellent team here with Dr. Kalpana and Vijay as the CEO of Aghub. And they have been helping me not only with the incubation of our product Mati, the brand Mati, which is about convenience packaging for tea that we are doing here, that we are getting incubated for at Aghub. They're also helping us with the brand Milk, which is about natural skincare. And for this brand, we are basically getting incubated at NIT Trichy. But they have been really supportive and helpful to enhance the experience of an entrepreneur, and also create the sustainable ecosystem all around.
NutriCircle Limited is an innovative company where we are isolating plant protein, especially from pulses, millets, and oil seeds. As you're aware that every body requires protein for your body, and we are the first company to isolate plant protein from millets and pulses and oil seeds, as I said. So, India being a nutrition deficient country, you need a regular source of protein through your food. That's how we actually are developing product, as you can see here. For example, a very simple example, this is regular use of masoor dal. We use it on a daily basis. The percentage in the green is about almost 26%, but when we are isolated the protein from this, we fractionated to about 46%. So this is our end product, which will actually be going to a B2B market. For example, let's say an atta company want to fortify this with a high protein atta, so this will be an ingredient for them. Or this can be used in nutraceutical companies where they will fortify with their protein based product. This can go into ready to eat like cookies, bread, beverages, industry, because it can also go to cosmetic industry because your skin also requires protein. So this is an application for the cosmetic industry also. This can also be for the hair care. So the application of this plant protein business is very, very wide. For example, we require about 5.5 gram of protein every day for your daily consumption. And generally if in case you are a non-vegetarian, the source is either through chicken and other egg and things like that. But largely for a vegetarian consume, when you are a vegetarian, you want to consume, you require certain amount of protein. As I told you, let's say one food require 5.5 gram of protein. So this particular protein you can add into your regular food also from a consumer point of view. So you can fortify this particular plant protein in your atta. Like the way you use your turmeric powder or a masala powder, you can add it in the vegetable, you can add it with your soup, you can add it with your beverage in the morning, you can add with the fruit, you can add with the fruit juice. So this is how for end consumer this could be in the application for that. So on the larger scale it is for the B2B market. Currently what we are doing is we are focusing on the B2B market. But as you rightly said, over next 6 months time, we'll also be coming with the sachet. This could typically the protein powder sachet. This can be used in the household segment also. So currently what you see is we are now in the pilot scale where we are able to derive protein extraction through some of the pulses like as I told you, grain, masoor dal, then you have kala chana, where we are isolated almost about 44% from kala chana, which is like a hot gram, which is easily available. Then for the first time now, this being an international year of millet, we also have isolated protein from foxtail millet also. So we are the first to isolate plant protein as far as the millet is also concerned. So currently we are focusing on B2B market. Way forward, we'll also be getting into consumer market also. Well, I think Aghub being, especially for a startup like this, you need certain platform, in terms of your innovation, in terms of your product development, in terms of networking, with different scientists and food scientists. So the whole idea of we coming to Aghub and to incubate there was in terms of the product development. And in fact, thanks to Aghub, they have helped us in product development also. Second is in terms of networking with the stakeholder. For example, obviously to take the produce we need the farmers, so we network directly with the farmers and FPO. So we take the raw material from them, and of course in networking when you need sort of policy makers and networking with other stakeholders, Aghub is the right platform for us. That's how we got incubated with them.
My name is Prajwal. I am founder and CEO of Oscillo Machines Private Limited, Mysore. And we build electric farm machinery for paddy and poultry farmers. And our special, we modernize the farming with indigenous solution on local problems. So our current products, we have a powdery raking machine, paddy transplanter, paddy weeder and brush cutters, and all are electric driven. And we are the two products are already in commercial stage, other two products are in piloting stage. So it's a completely electric based, where the fossil fuel has been not been there has been eliminated. And if you take the powdery raking machine, the drudgery these machines will reduce the drudgery up to more than 50%. And these are the main advantages to the farmers, as well as they can gain an income by reducing the labor cost. The primary target is a small and marginal farmers, and if you take in a case of a powdery raking machine, our targeted customers are the 5,000 to plus bird capacity. The cost is between 42,000, and the paddy transplanters are more than that, but we are catering and